Hello, Geraldine. I have some wonderful news.
Well, perhaps I'd better sit down. I'm not at all sure my strength will be able to withstand your wonderful news.
Guess who isn't getting married?
Well, let's see. I'm not.
Wrong. I'm not going to marry Derek. I called off the wedding.
Raven, Derek has my congratulations. You have my approval. That was one marriage that was never meant to be.
Took almost an entire afternoon of soul-searching, but I made some very important realizations about the relationship.
Well, I'm proud of you. I was hoping that somewhere along the line you'd come to your senses. But what happened? Why this sudden change?
Simple. I decided to marry somebody else.
What makes you think Skylar will ask you?
Well, I mean, besides the fact that he's absolutely crazy about me, he proposed to me this afternoon.
Skylar proposed to you? What was your answer?
Oh, well, I mean, he may be handsome, charming, intelligent, and have lots and lots of money, but I certainly kept my dignity, and I told him I'd have to think about it.
Don't play coy with me. That's all you've been thinking about ever since Skylar and Martine parted company.
Oh, well, I admit that the thought popped into my head now and then, but it was only in passing.
At your instigation, I have no doubt.
Hey, I mean, I might have put the idea in his head at first, but you know Sky never does anything unless he's absolutely sure and he wants to.
Oh, my dear, I know. Skylar values his independence above everything else. Far more than any of your other husbands, or, fiancés, or gentlemen friends.
Well, that's what I need. I mean, it's great to be waited on hand and foot, but I need somebody that won't jump every time I snap my fingers.
Well, if you're looking for a battle of the wills, Skylar will be a formidable opponent.
Well, that's not exactly what I mean. I feel different about Skylar. I've never felt this way about any other man.
I hope that's true, Raven. Because if it isn't, and you marry Skylar Whitney, you'll be making the biggest mistake of your life.
Sit down, Mr. Randolph.
I know how busy you are, and I appreciate your seeing me on such short notice.
Having dealt with the Attorney General's office many times before, I'm grateful for any notice at all.
Well, at least my arrival didn't come as a complete surprise.
No, I was expecting your visit, if that's what you mean.
I'd like to tell you exactly why I had to see you. I realize that up to now you haven't been receiving very much information.
I know that it has something to do with the Bryson Gideon case, but other than that, I'm afraid I am in the dark.
Nobody's been informed. We're handling this on a strict need-to-know basis.
That big?
Up to now, the only people that have received clearance are the Attorney General and myself and the two heads of the intelligence agencies.
I take that to mean that we're not talking about a strictly criminal proceeding.
Oh, not by a long shot. We have reason to believe that Dr. Bryson may have had dealings with key foreign political leaders from Europe, Africa, South America, and the United States.
How reliable are your sources?
That's why I'm here. We want to put together a special task force in order to check those people, not necessarily because they're under suspicion, but each and every one of our sources as well.
So this task force would not only be digging for information, they'd be acting as a dummy agency to take the flak, so to speak.
Exactly. And in the eyes of the world, it would appear as the most routine of investigations. And we would be following you up with 100% of our resources.
Mr. Randolph, the problem is that although Dr. Bryson's case falls under my jurisdiction, as district attorney, I would draw too much attention to the government's involvement.
Yes, but as district attorney, it would be your responsibility to appoint someone to spearhead your investigation.
Unless I've missed my signals, what you want is for me to recommend someone from here in Monticello to head up your special task force.
That is exactly what we want. And we'd appreciate it if you would put it into immediate action. Believe me, Draper, there was no picnic handling all your cases while you were gone, staying up late at night, not getting any sleep. Well, I mean, not that I'm complaining or anything.
Oh, no, Cliff, the thought never entered my mind.
Yeah, I'd burn the midnight oil anytime to see my best friend and favorite partner get back with his wife.
You know, Cliff, since you're such a prince, I'm going to let you in on a secret.
Oh, goody. I haven't heard any secrets since I stopped listening at keyholes.
Cliff, April and I are going to have another baby.
That's fantastic. It's terrific. Congratulations. When did all this come about?
Oh, a couple of months ago. She just wasn't telling me, and until we got, you know, the problems between us straightened out. Cigar?
Yeah, thanks.
Take one, Cliff.
Obviously, the problems between you are straightened out.
Right, you know, having been apart since we got back together, it's like a second honeymoon.
Well, you're not going to believe this. In fact, maybe you better sit down to hear this. I've been considering that exact thing myself.
Taking a second honeymoon? Cliff, you're not even married.
No, this is serious, Draper, really. You know, when you were gone, a day didn't go by when I didn't say to myself, Sam, you ought to settle down. I mean, Cliff, maybe you should get married.
What happened to the confirmed bachelor to whom I entrusted my most important clients?
Well, it's very lonely while you were gone, you know. So I might find me a wife and might get us some new clients. See, I thought that we would take out an ad in the paper advertising free legal advice for single women. You see, single women have a great deal of difficulty getting good counseling these days.
Cliff, no.
No, look, I checked out with the newspaper. It won't cost us very much at all.
Cliff, no.
Draper, I think you ought to listen to my ideas. You know, I handled myself very well while you were away. Look.
I know, you did very well with the Reardon case. Had it thrown out of court. The best I expected you to do there was 1 to 5 for aggravated assault.
You know, I don't think I get much respect around here. You know, if I say so myself, I was terrific in that courtroom. Boy, by the time the jury was ready for deliberation, I had them hypnotized.
You mean you had them so confused they didn't know what they were doing?
Well...
Saved by the bell. Scott Nelson.
Draper, it's Mike.
Oh, Mike, how are you? What can I do for you?
I hate to interrupt your first day back, but I've got something very important to talk to you about. If you don't mind, I'd like to come over there in about 10 minutes.
Sure, come on over. I'm not going anywhere.
See you soon.
You know, I was going to come over and surprise you myself this afternoon.
I wanted this to be a surprise, but your doorman wouldn't let you have any surprises.
Well, that's because I've gotten a lot of surprise, unexpected, unannounced
yeah,
visitors.
you need not say anymore.
Let's see, turn around. You look terrific. Come on in and sit down. You know, if I hadn't known that you had just spent several months recuperating from bone marrow transplant surgery, I never even would have known you were sick.
That's because it's my sister-in-law. It's your sworn duty to uphold my vanity.
It's true, but I'm being serious. I mean, you look wonderful. Monticello's doing you well.
Well, that's an understatement. Being back home again with my own family, it's a dream come true.
Yeah. How are they, Miles and Adam? I haven't seen them myself for a while, I'm afraid.
They're wonderful.
Good.
Miles sends his love, and Adam's gotten so big I hardly even recognize him.
I'll bet he's thrilled that you're home.
Well, at that age, it's a little difficult to tell, but I think he's getting used to me again. How's Julia?
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful, looking more and more like Draper every day, except for my blonde hair and blue eyes, but her father is convinced she is his spitting image. She's outside in the park with Mrs. Timmons.
Oh, she was just a little baby when I last saw her. She must be a grown woman by now.
Only kidding, hasn't been that long.
I know, but it seems like an eternity. Gosh, I've been out of touch with the people that I love for so long. I was almost afraid to come home again.
Yeah. I can fill you in on a few things.
Yeah?
Well, I'm kind of surprised you haven't noticed one of them, but, you know.
April.
You're kidding. No, I'm serious.
Why did Miles tell me?
He doesn't even know yet. I haven't had a chance to tell him.
Well, when is it due?
Well, let's see. If baby doesn't decide to come early this time, I'd say late September.
Oh, I am so excited.
Me too.
Oh, my goodness. First, Mike and Nancy are reunited, and now this, and I haven't even heard all the details about what happened.
Oh, sit down, sit down. Boy, do I have a lot to tell you. I tell you, if it weren't for Mike's spectacular rescue, I wouldn't be here to talk about it right now. Well, looks like I'm going to have to wait.
Gosh, that must have been such a terrifying experience.
Oh, I've never so glad to see anyone in my whole entire life. Hello? You're kidding. Oh, well, of course. Sure. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. My friend Sid's here.
Who's Sid? I don't think I've ever met Sid.
Oh, she's a woman I met, Denise Meadows.
Sid is a woman?
Yes, and she happens to be a terrific lady who not only gave me a job, a place to live, she also gave me an understanding ear and a very soft shoulder to cry on.
Sounds wonderful.
She's terrific. You're going to love her. Welcome to Monticello. Oh, it's so good to see you. What are you doing here? Hey, do you have any trouble finding us?
How could I? You're the only ones on the whole floor.
Oh, yeah. Well, oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Sid, my sister-in-law, Nicole. Nicole, this is Sid.
Hi, Sid. Nice to meet you.
The pleasure's all mine.
April's just been telling me all about you.
Excuse me if I'm a little tongue-tied, but this layout is a bit more than I expected.
You like it?
Like it? I've never been in a place like this in my whole life. I feel like the Queen of England.
Well, if your Majesty would sit down on your throne, you can tell us to what we owe the honor of your company.
Oh, well, Her Majesty has been beaten down doors since 11 o'clock this morning looking for a job.
Well, what happened to the tavern?
I put it out of its misery. I sold it for taxes to a couple of your entrepreneurs who plan to turn it into a disco.
Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that.
Yeah, well, that's what I've been hearing since 11 o'clock this morning.
Well, what kind of a job are you looking for now? Something else in the restaurant business?
Well, I figure in a town the size of Monticello, I ought to be able to find myself a club to manage or at least a couple of tables to wait on.
Well, why don't I give Geraldine a call? I mean, if there's anybody who knows what's going on in this town, it's Geraldine Whitney.
Well, listen, I'd appreciate anything you can do. Just point me in the right direction, and I'm on my way.
Just don't worry, okay, Sid? I mean, we'll find you something. Draper and I can do something, I'm sure. Of course. The unicorn. Be perfect.
Who or what is the unicorn?
Well, it's a restaurant, sort of, and I inherited it. It's a very long story.
Well, it's hardly what you would call a restaurant anymore. April, that place hasn't been open in ages.
No, it hasn't, but there's no reason why we can't reopen it. Put a little money into it. I think it'd be a perfect place for Sid.
Well, it would have to undergo a complete renovation before she could even think of reopening it.
Well, it's already been gutted, so to speak. Just fix it up a little bit. You got yourself a business.
Hey, slow down a minute, you two. If I'd gotten rich enough selling the tavern to open another place of my own, I wouldn't be looking for a job.
Draper and I will help you out financially. But look at it this way. It's costing us just as much in taxes as it would cost to renovate the whole entire place. So why not put a little money into it? We can make a little money out of it, and I think it's for a good cause.
Ooh, a couple of hours ago, I couldn't even beat down a door, and now here I am being offered the keys to the city. I don't know what to say.
Then just say yes. Make Draper and me very happy to know that we could repay you for everything you've done for us.
Well, Sid, it sure can't hurt to take a look at it.
Well, what have I got to lose?
I know where you got the idea to impersonate Ira Gideon. I saw it in a movie once. Hello, Draper. It's so fast. I just talked to you a minute ago. Yeah. Mike, what's up?
No offense, Cliff, but I'd like to speak to Draper in private.
Oh, sure, yeah. No trouble at all. I'll just hold all calls for you, Draper, okay? Sure, there's some filing I can do. After all, I did handle all your cases for about while you were gone. Maybe some beautiful girl will call me and ask me to marry her.
Looks like I may have lost a friend.
Mike, don't pay any attention to him. He's been feeling very put upon all day.
Well, I'd like to have Cliff sit in on this, but the Office of the Attorney General has requested demanded the utmost discretion.
Attorney General?
His top aide, Maxwell Randolph, came to see me this afternoon about the Bryson Gideon case.
Oh, Mike, how many times do we have to go through this? You know how I feel about
Draper,
government.
now wait a minute. Before you start shouting about states' rights, you might be interested in hearing what I have to say.
All right, sorry. What is it?
I'm going to try to interest you in a very special assignment that may involve Ira Gideon, but will be focusing primarily on Dr. Bryson.
Oh, you know how I feel about him. I hope he gets life for what he did to Nancy, him and his wife.
Well, it's not quite that simple. It appears this case goes way beyond what they did to Nancy. Not only does it involve individuals, but certain foreign governments as well.
Foreign governments? Friendly or hostile?
Well, the Attorney General's office isn't at liberty to name names as yet. But they are going to create a special task force to investigate Bryson's connections to foreign governments, hostile and friendly towards our own.
Well, congratulations.
Well, the demands of the DA's office won't allow me to act as special prosecutor. That's why I thought about you as the most logical choice.
Me? You want me to head up this task force?
I won't kid you, Draper. Not only will there be long hours, but lots of travel included as well.
Mike, I thank you. I appreciate your confidence. Mike, you know, things with April have just now started to get back to normal.
I realize that, Draper, but contrary to popular belief, the government's heart is not made of stone. Any travel plans would also include April, too.
But Mike, that's not
Draper,
the point.
This assignment would also give you national recognition.
Well, you know, Mike, I always wanted to travel around the world. Maybe I should start doing it before my family gets any bigger. I accept.
Good.
How about a cigar?
Why not?
Well, there, Cliff, how are you?
April, what are you doing here? Why aren't you at home resting?
Well-
Here, let me get you a chair. Here, sit down. Can I get you anything? Let's say a coffee or tea or maybe a pickle?
No, thank you for the chair. Doctor says no caffeine, and I had my pickle for breakfast. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing just fine, April, just fine.
What's the matter? Aren't you glad your partner's back?
Some partner. No sooner does he set foot in the office than he goes into a private conference with the district attorney.
Mike, thanks for coming.
Oh, hi, Mike. How are you?
April, how are you?
Real good, son. Hello.
Draper, I've got to run, but we'll talk to you later.
Mike, thanks for coming by.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Why, Mike? What was all that about?
Yeah.
Oh, he just wanted to talk about some of the things that had happened up at East Meadows.
Speaking of East Meadows, guess who I spent the afternoon with? Nicole and Sid.
Oh, wait a minute, April, I met Nicole, but who's Sid?
Well, just the lady who kept my body and soul together while Draper was out playing detective.
I get it now. You want to close the law firm here and open up the detective agency together, huh?
Yeah, that's it, Cliff.
Yeah, well, Draper, Sid closed the tavern in East Meadows and Monticello looking for a job, and, well, Draper, Nicole and I took her to see the Unicorn.
The Unicorn? That place has been closed since I solved the Elliot Dorn murder.
Oh, yeah, well, in any case, I thought, why can't it be reopened? And, you know, we'll fix it up and do a thing for Sid, and might be a money-making venture for us, and I happen to think it was a marvelous idea. What about you, Cliff?
You lost him after you told him that you took Sid to the Unicorn. When he was staying with me, he used to space out like this all the time.
Honey, I'm sorry. I just had a real hectic day. Look, I need to talk to you about something private in the office. Come on. Excuse us, Cliff.
Excuse us. I was all excited about someone I care about, that is Sid, and I thought there was something I could do to help the woman.
It's a great idea, honey.
I came all the way down here to tell you to share my excitement with
There's
you.
something else. Something I have to share with you. Something just as exciting. Get ready.
Okay.
How would you like to take a trip overseas?
Shall I get that, Mr. Whitney?
Yeah, go ahead, Gus.
Well, to what do I owe this unexpected pleasure?
Gunther, could you leave